Alright, Trivial Movement me going by stream of consciousness and not really planning and just doing, because that's exactly what I need to do. And though I do need to not be perfect, but I want to talk about today about kind of like an interesting, not really a realization, but kind of like a theory due to something I've heard through a documentary. And before I started learning all this typology stuff, and or actually maybe it was even during, I'm not even 100% certain, but I listened to where a certain part of the brain, you know, actually was a part that held the memory, and it also, that same part of the brain also had control of, your imagination. I unfortunately forgot what it was called, and I went and looked it up, and all I ended up finding was that actually all parts of the brain can actually trigger the memory, and it probably depends on, probably your senses and stuff. But it really struck a chord with me, because when it comes to memory, as an INTJ, of course, is absolutely dreadful being SI demon. I don't care to remember stuff for the most part, unless the only things that I will kind of come up across in my mind is the things that something I need in the future, or I'm going to go over here. I better make sure I take along this, because otherwise it's going to suck. Makes sense. But why it really struck a chord with me is that not too long before that, I found out that I have aphantasia. And what that means is that, at least from what I understand, is that I do not have a visual component to my imagination. And I think, it's funny enough, it's all auditory too, but I think I'm able to, I know my voice well enough that I can actually still kind of do it inside my head, so I have like the inner dialogue in a sense, but I don't like hear it. I don't know how that works, and I would love to know if maybe even any other SI demons actually have aphantasia as well. It would be very interesting to know. And through that, I've come, and then after learning a little more about the typology stuff, and mainly SI, finding out my wife is an ISFJ, so she's SI hero, and it starts to make a lot of sense, considering a lot going on with her. And I've come to wonder that, learning this tidbit about the brain, that I wonder if once the brain has, like, pretty much, I guess, I would imagine that the sperm, already had its type picked out then, and then, whichever one gets to the egg, and then blah, and then, the babies start forming, and then the brain starts forming. And I think, I want to think that after that, the brain starts developing, and it actually starts developing towards, physically towards the types, actually physically in general, not just the brain, but the body itself starts developing in tandem of what the brain is. Sorry, I gotta worry about ants and stuff around here. As you can see, there's a nice looking tree, and a lot of bugs, and the sun's pretty much in my eyes as well. Yeah, but considering where I am, scenery is kind of. Anyways, and it made me wonder that, I come to this conclusion simply because, as SI demon, I'm not really concerned about the experiences I am receiving, right? Because SC seeks out the SI. So when someone likes to try to show me stuff, I'm kind of like, You know, and I know there are times where I need to resist that notion, and sometimes it can be rather difficult, especially if FI child has a bit of moody nature at the moment, which apparently has been happening a lot more and more as I get older. I'm becoming to identify it a lot easier, or it's coming out a lot easier. But it's like I've noticed, you know, my senses are all bad. You know, I wear glasses. My eyes are pretty poor. I mean, they're not completely bad. But you know, I still need glasses, and I can't smell anything unless it's extremely potent smell or right under my nose. My taste is, I love my dishes to have extremely strong, bold flavors. And you know, maybe my taste buds are pretty poor too, because I need it to really enjoy the food, because maybe I don't smell it that well either. My hearing is pretty bad, and I have a pretty good pain tolerance. So it seems like anything that I'm experiencing in terms of any of my senses or anything that's going towards me is really weak. All 5 of my senses are awfully weak. And then, you know, since it's hard to memorize things because I have aphantasia, I can't hold an image in my head to, you know, for any prolonged period of time, and it makes, you know, planning in my head a lot more difficult. And it's quite frustrating because, you know, parent is like, come on now. And I can't stand drawing it out or, you know, mapping it out like on paper. Cause I don't know where to start. It's like I know, I kind of have an idea of how to organize and have it, you know, kind of show where I wanted to show statistics, but I struggle on actually, you know, putting it on paper or putting my mind out, you know, the information that my mind wants to put out there and organize it. And in a sense that probably anyone could tangibly see and everything. And I've come to notice, you know, since my wife is SI Hero, you know, she has extremely vivid memory. She has extremely good imagination, because, you know, I talked to her about it and I was like blowing my mind that, you know, she was saying, you know, when she's reading the book, it's like she's there, it's all around her. And it's like, huh? No, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. Because, you know, I couldn't, you know, not being able to do that, I couldn't rationalize being able to do that. And, you know, too much audio around her bothers her. She has really good hearing, to the point where she fears that she has a you know, condition on her ears that picks up noises way too well, and it, you know, it bothers her extra because, you know, anything that's going on around me, I could just sleep through it. Yeah, I even had to the point where I worked overnight, and I actually really enjoyed sleeping with the family around. You know, I just worked the night, you know. Well, maybe the family's about, I'll sleep, I'll go just pass out, and kind of happily, because it's like, oh look, family and all that stuff. It was really nice. And, you know, well, her vision is far worse than mine, but that may not, so it's not, doesn't seem completely true that it would be like that. But she does have a lot better smell because, you know, she has all the scents and all that stuff around. Touch, yeah, she seems to be a bit more sensitive. And yeah, I mean, everything but her eyes are far better than mine. And if the part of the brain, you know, it makes sense, because, you know, SI Hero is probably always worried about, you know, everything everything around them. They have to be comfortable. No too loud noises, no nothing, because the brain is intimately focused on that. While mine is like, I don't care. And so that leads me to believe that there is a potential that the body will actually develop based on your type upon conception. And as I said, I'm going to guess that that the sperm already has the details on the type that it's going to be, because I'm pretty sure the sperm is the brain and the spine, and it goes along with that. But I could be wrong. I haven't done that much research into how that works, but I imagine from the shape of the sperm that I'll draw to that conclusion. I could be wrong, so I'll accept that if I am. And I find this interesting, and I couldn't tell you was true, because apparently, as Joseph said, that ENTPs typically end up, coming off creepy, or maybe just looking that way. So maybe the brain, doesn't know how to tangibly form the body to have an attractive look, while, someone like SE inferior, even though I'm balding, I can't avoid it, but, I will probably overall look probably more attractive than normal should I, groom myself. And that's if I groom myself. So, I don't know. Maybe I could come to other potential conclusions that, maybe, like let's say ESFPs, TI Trickster, maybe they have this, maybe a smaller head shape, but they have a more powerful heart. And I guess it would make sense, because they're always out giving experiences. They're always willing to go out and do stuff, and they probably have better, stronger organs to compensate for that. And they're big feelers, so they're it seems like the heart is a source of feel, because that's where it comes from, because I've been hurt before, and it feels like an empty hole right there, and that's what it seems like. So who knows, maybe depending on your cognitive functions on the top and bottom actually have everything to do with how your body and brain develops, and actually builds to strengths. And I don't know how else to explain it, but that's what I'm picking up on, how this works, and I find it absolutely fascinating. And I really wanted to get that out there, and I hope anyone who understands this stuff has anything to say about it. And I guess I will just leave it at that. Adios.